Why are we scared of horror movies? And it's not because of the monsters.
Oh, no, no.
What?
No, 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 don't do it!
What if I told you that horror movies don't actually scare us because of ghosts, vampires, or demons? Think about it. You know vampires aren't real.
You know, everybody's staring.
You know very well zombies don't exist. And you know the creature on a screen can hurt you. So, why does your heart race anyway? Why does your palms sweat? And why do you instinctively look away? Well, anthropologists and psychoanalysts have spent decades trying to answer that question. And surprisingly, they all arrive at a similar conclusion. The monster isn't what we're really afraid of. We are afraid of what the monster represents. Today, we're going to explore why horror movies scare us using the idea of anthropologists David Gilmour and Mary Douglas, alongside psychoanalysts Julia Kristeva, Sigmund Freud, and Jacques Lacan. By the end of this video, you will never watch a horror movie the same way again. We don't fear monsters, we create them. Anthropologist David Gilmour noticed something remarkable. Every culture on Earth has monsters. Europe has vampires. Japan has Oni. India has Rakshasas. Native American cultures have the Wendigo. Ancient Greece have the Medusa and the Minotaur. Different cultures, different religions, different histories. Yet every single one of them invents its own monsters. Gilmour asked this very simple question: why? And his answer was brilliant. Monsters aren't random fantasies. They are physical embodiment of invisible fears. Think about it. You can't punch death. You can't fight diseases. You can't wrestle uncertainty. But you can imagine them as a vampire, or a demon, or a giant creature lurking in the woods. Monsters give a face to fears that otherwise have none. They're not just scary creatures, they're our primordial fears made visible and externalized.
Oh, hi. What the hell?
So, why monsters look so weird? Now here is where it gets really interesting. Anthropologist Mary Douglas argued that humans organize the world into neat categories: alive versus dead, human versus animal, male versus female, inside versus outside, and clean versus dirty. These categories help us make sense of reality, but horror destroys them. It threads the line between the binaries. A zombie might look scary because it keeps our brains questioning: is it alive? Is it dead? A werewolf, the same thing. Is it human or animal? A vampire, is it living or dead? Like Frankenstein monster. Notice something? The best monsters never fit into one category. And according to Douglas, that's exactly why they're terrifying. Her most famous phrase is, "Dirt is matter out of place." Hair on your head, perfectly normal. Hair on your soup, disgusting. The hair didn't change, only where it belonged. And the same thing happens with monsters. They're out of place. They don't belong anywhere in our understanding of reality. And our brains hate that. Why horror is so disgusting? But fear isn't the only emotion horror creates. There's also disgust. Why do horror movies love blood, rotting flesh, body horror, corpses? Julia Kristeva has an answer for this. She called it abjection. An abjection basically happens when something blurs the boundary between you and not you, between subject and an object. Take a corpse, for example. It was a person yesterday, but today it's what? An object? A subject? A body? A memory? Well, it no longer fits our categories. And blood is also another example. For inside your body, it's life. Outside your body, it's terrifying. The same substance, but completely different meaning. Horror films constantly force us to confront things that should stay separated: life and death, human and animal, self and other. That's why they are so uncomfortable to watch. Freud is uncanny. Sigmund Freud believed horror becomes truly frightening when something familiar suddenly becomes strange. He called this the uncanny. Think about haunted dolls. They're just toys, right? So why are they frightening? Because they're almost human, almost alive, almost familiar, almost. The same goes for human looking robots, or mirrors, or identical twins, or empty houses that somehow feel occupied. They're close enough to normal, but not quite. That tiny gap creates enormous discomfort. The familiar suddenly becomes unfamiliar, and that's terrifying. Lacan and the real. French psychoanalyst Jacques Lacan pushes this even further. He argues we spend our lives living inside a symbolic world. Language, rules, culture, stories, these things make reality feel stable. But sometimes something breaks through, something that can't be explained, cannot be named, cannot be understood. Lacan called this the real, something beyond our typical day to day understanding of the human world. Think about the monster in a horror movie. It's not frightening because it kills people, it's frightening because it refuses to make sense. It breaks the rules of reality. And that's why the best horror movies never fully explain the monster. The more we understand it, the less frightening it becomes.
My house!
So, next time you wonder why that movie is scary, be sure to have in mind that monsters are our deepest, most intimate fears invested with physical forms. You see, they breathe chaos into orderly world by destroying our categories of human understanding. Horror forces us to confront what we desperately try to keep outside ourselves. It begins when the familiar becomes strange, and sometimes the most terrifying thing isn't the monster. It's the moment our comforting picture of reality falls apart. Maybe that's why horror has existed for thousands of years, because monsters never really lived under the bed. They've always lived inside the human imagination. And perhaps the most frightening realization of all is that every monster tells us more about ourselves than it ever does about the dark. So make sure to follow for more, and I'll see you next time.